Hello everyone, welcome to episode 156 of Chatting with Anthony. With this episode, the prompt is, keep doing if you can, but don't want to. Now, once you have obviously ensured that you actually can keep going and that it's not just a matter of you telling yourself that it's all mental when reality is you literally there is nothing else that you can physically do to help the situation. If you're at a point where you know you can keep going but you don't want to, I believe the first step is to establish why exactly that is. Certain potential reasons, in my opinion, are fatigue, lack of care, not wanting to hurt yourself in the process or hurting others in the process, not wanting to hurt a community in the process, whatever it might be. Well, others would be a part of the community, but just establishing what exactly it is that has gotten you to this point of failure, I believe is important for development. It's not necessary, but I believe it does help for understanding how not to get to this situation in the future. I believe that when it comes to trying to psych yourself into staying on track and not losing focus, and having strong willpower, and it works for a lot of things, I guess. Determine who it is that you're doing this for. Ask yourself if you're doing it for people, whether it's just completely yourself, whether it's for family, for friends, for the good of a whole. I'll get to that whole part in a minute. Whether it's for, if you're doing some kind of wildlife preservation, that would be for animals, people too, to an extent, because animals help humans out a lot, but determining whether you're doing it for another living species, whether it's for the land itself, which I guess you technically count that alive, grass grows, but however you want to view it, determine what your reasonings are. I know I said in the last episode, but the what, why, when, what, why, when, who, and how helps you understand why you commit the actions that you do, but it also helps you understand what it is that you are really after. And it could be that it's for all three, a community as a whole. That would be ultimately the best reason. I mean, if you can benefit everybody at the same time, that seems to be a very smart move in terms of efficiency, to help the most. But there are valid things that each individually need. And there's no shame in going after one of those rather than trying to do all three at the same time. I believe it's very important when it comes to establishing what is going on mentally, because if you can but you don't want to, it's essentially just mental at that point. Removing your emotions from the situation is crucial. Your emotions are most likely what led you to mentally say that you cannot keep going. Even though, it can be very uncomfortable, making sure that you face the mindset that led you to that point. It could be a solid form of self-preservation, because you don't want to, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. You want to make sure that you're not going to legitimately hurt yourself or something in the process. And so even as uncomfortable as it might be to face it head on, please, I'm just going to encourage you to face it. Don't treat it as forbidden fruit. No, we can almost do mental gymnastics of sorts and make it seem like trying to understand why this thing is this, is a bad thing for me to understand, or a bad thing for me to open because it's going to hurt me in some way. Please don't view it like that. Just run at it, essentially. If you need help from a therapist, I would encourage you to go do that. I know that it's rather expensive. I get it's not possible for everybody, but if it is in the realm of possibilities for you, I would like to encourage you to do so. Establishing why the mindset is valid. You might find the mindset to be invalid, but you likely have a set of circumstances that led you to a point to where it made it seem valid. So just understanding why that is and trying to remove the shame from it, and instead just saying, I did this because of this, or I did this likely because of this, or mostly because of this, and I might not understand all the why, all the ins and outs of the situation, but I know that I don't want to get here again, so what should I do to avoid that? I believe that also developing a plan to avoid getting to this point of failure is one good route to take. Another one is learning, if you got to this point, it was because this, or it could have just be this, but this likely came from this, 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 and this. And so understanding, if I get here and I recognize it, do this. If I get, sorry, I really can't see me. If I get here, do this. If I get here, do this. If I get here, stick my head in the ground. I don't know. If I get here, whatever. Trying to find a place to pivot. It's like basketball. Like if you're running forward and you can't go anymore because you have Rudy Gobert in front of you, maybe stop, try to pivot, try to see if you can get off a shot. If not, pass the ball off. Even if that means like, hey, I have to stop doing this thing right now and come back to it later to more effectively work on it, so be it. That might be what you have to do. It might not be the most effective, efficient, whatever. You might find there might be reasons that come up that make you say, no, I shouldn't do it like that. If you have the time to spare to do it later, then I would encourage you to go back and do it later. But you have to, assess your situation as need be. That's not, I know that advice particular is not always realistic. And please also remind yourself throughout this whole process that your emotions are a part of your thoughts, and your thoughts are just a part of your mind. I don't know why I did this Star Trek thing. It's a part of your mind. It's your brain's trying to tell you that you shouldn't keep doing something, and it probably has a valid reason for it, but you don't have to listen to it. It's just there. It's just telling you that. And understanding that, especially if you've read the David Goggins book, Can't Hurt Me. Now again, you have to take his word for it, but I believe he was telling the truth. And if that is the case, our bodies are capable of much more than we actually realize, and that a lot of our pain is a combination of physical affecting the mental, or mental affecting the physical. And that if you can remove your mind from the situation, the physical is capable of a lot. And so because of that, I just encourage you to push your own boundaries and try to figure out where it is, what you can do, why you can do it. I don't necessarily agree with the billionaire class on a lot of things, but I do believe that something that a lot of them get right is that you really have to trick your mind into figuring out, into understanding the why, but also understanding that there's a lot of restrictions that we place on ourselves that are because of our mind just being uncomfortable. And understanding how to get past that is an effective way to accomplish whatever goals it is that you might have. I do believe they are right about that. So that is all I have for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe. God bless. And I'll see you guys in the next one.